Okay, welcome to our one viewer to the first.
Shout out to our partners.
Welcome to the one viewer in Seattle, in Kenmore, to the to the first episode of क्या था नाम इसका? कैरिंगटन के चर्चे या चाचे?
यार चांदनी चौक पे तो चांदनी चौक पे तो हम चाट के आए हैं आज।
अच्छा नहीं भाई, प्रोफेशनल प्रोफेशनल कैरिंगटन पे
प्रोफेशनल।
चर्चे पे आपका स्वागत है, हमारा एक व्यूअर
हाँ।
जो
आई थिंक ब्रो ये
जो
डिवाइन इंटरवेंशन है कि हमने 24 घंटे पहले ये चैनल चैनल बनाने की सोचा है। आई थिंक वी मस्ट डॉक्यूमेंट दैट फैक्ट बिकॉज हमारा ओरिजिन्स ऑफ दिस चैनल उस फैक्ट में
हाँ,
अब फॉर एवर
कि
इन द
यूनाइटेड
बुक।
के पहले 7-8 गेम्स ने हमें इतना डिप्रेस कर दिया कि हमने सोचा कि आपस में ये डिप्रेशन निकाल के
क्रॉनिकल करें।
हाँ, इसको इसको पूरी दुनिया में फैलाना पड़ेगा।
हाँ मैं लॉर्ड। आज से 5 साल बाद जब लोग मेरे से सवाल पूछेंगे तो ये रिकॉर्डिंग उसका जवाब होगी।
ये होगा एग्जिबिट ए हमारी उसमें,
हाँ चल
सजा है
भाई।
मौत।
टू किक अस ऑफ, let's get
हम्म
straight into it. Uh, we needed to win this match. Ten Hag is under pressure. I mean, that's the nature of the United job.
हम्म
Onana was under pressure. Bruno was under pressure. Rashford was under pressure. And I
हम्म
think outside of the performances, this is possibly the worst possible case scenario that has happened today. Not just that we lost, but also
हम्म
जिस तरीके से हम हारे। मतलब
बट नाउ
कोई
दिस इज
भी
गेटिंग रिपीटेटिव राइट, लाइक दिस जिस तरीके से हम हारे वो तरीके से ही हम हार रहे हैं। लाइक अगेंस्ट बायर्न वी स्कोर्ड 3 बट वी कंसीडर्ड 4, against Galatasaray we scored 2 but we conceded 3, and both the games it was the same pattern: score किया concede किया, score किया concede किया, like within 5 minutes in both the games. Yeah.
फेयर इनफ। तो मेरा तो यही बिलीफ है कि यूजुअली जो सबसे स्लोएस्ट मूविंग नीडल होती है वो होती है कोचिंग एंड प्ले स्टाइल की। इट्स बीन 14 months since we got this manager. I think
Hmm.
it's too soon to judge that manager harshly, especially given that we know that systems are the name of the game. It's very, very hard to acquire world class talent. ऐसे like एम्बापे और फ्रैंकी डियोंग के सपने लगा लगा के मैं 30 पहुंच गया हूँ, है ना? तो 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 आई
हाँ,
थिंक
स्पेशली यूनाइटेड का जो जॉब है, आई थिंक इट्स डिफरेंट फ्रॉम ऑल अदर, क्योंकि एवरीवन इज सेइंग कि वो पोस्टेकोग्लू अंग्रेजी ने 6 हफ्तों में लाइक टॉटनहम को पता नहीं क्या बना दिया।
भाई अगर
द
वो
थिंग
पहले
इज
3 गेम ना जीतता उसका कोई नाम भी याद नहीं करता।
दैट्स द थिंग, क्योंकि
पोस्ते कोकू बोलते रहे।
लास्ट सीजन वी वेंट ऑन एन इनसेन रन, है ना,
हम्म
स्पेशली होम गेम्स व्हेन वी पीपल वर टॉकिंग अबाउट टाइटल चैलेंज,
हम्म
है ना। तो दैट्स द फेज दिस पोस्टेकोग्लू वोग्लू इज इन राइट नाउ, and
यप
just that's the phase a lot of managers usually are like.
या
Deserby is a great manager, but he just lost 6-1. That just
या
tells you what Premier League is,
करेक्ट टू अनदर
right?
ग्रेट मैनेजर उना एमरी।
हाँ, good evening.
Exactly right. So I mean
Yeah.
the definitely, but I mean just to like start us off on the Champions League fixture of today. So let's just look at the results within our group and also the other results so that we understand कि how are the other teams good and bad doing, right? तो हमारे
Hmm.
ग्रुप में today Bayern beat Copenhagen 2-1, right?
Shri Shri
So that
Bayern
हाँ
beat.
जी श्री Bayern, right? Musiala and Tell scoring 2 goals. I mean, Musiala is a baller, obviously. So that's not. I mean, that's the result. I mean, we expected
That's
that, but
expected here.
yeah,
Expect
nothing too crazy there. And
Everyone
from the
expected Bayern to top the group. Yeah, so nothing
yeah,
different.
but it's a 0.92 to 0.95 expected goals with 42 to 58% possession. So like they absolutely scraped this one, right? Now
हाँ,
looking at our game, just some stats. 2.1 expected goals to Galatasaray's 2.64. But you have to remember the kind of goals we conceded, they are very, very high expected goals, right? Including the penalty. right? And the possession was 55-45. And when you see the game momentum charts, it's much more dominant in terms of spread कि हमने कितना dominate किया in terms of time और उन्होंने कितना dominate किया, but उन्होंने जब भी उनको momentum मिला उन्होंने capitalize किया with a goal which according to me मेरे हिसाब से तीनों के तीनों have come from individual errors. Amrabat, Lindelof, Dalot, ओनाना ओनाना तो सबसे ज्यादा, मतलब भाई क्या हुआ भाई, नींद नहीं मिली क्या like, मतलब मतलब क्या हो गया यार लाइक मतलब आई कांट इवन, मतलब सब कुछ सही था अभी, nobody was even asking you to get involved too much, make too many crazy saves, we had pinned them in, है ना? एंड
Yeah,
एक थिंग जो मेरे
his
को लगता है,
positioning has been a little bit.
वेरी amateur, not
I
little bit,
was
very
about to
very
say a little
amateur.
bit, but yeah, his
हाँ,
positioning is weird. Like it feels like every time it feels like, "Arey yaar, this save was like not easy, so you can't blame him." But then you think, yeah, it was not easy because his positioning was just too weird. Like either
yeah,
he goes
even
down
positioning, and
very,
this is
yeah,
where you have to kind of also acknowledge कि with Lisandro being out of the team, Varane, who is not known to be much of a communicator, and Lindelof, who we all know definitely not as a communicator, along with Dalo, who is also another person who is very famous for having these miscommunications in these situations, especially when there is a handoff of the ball. And उसके वजह
yeah.
से Zaha had like 5 seconds to like press up against the man literally outside
Yeah.
the 6 yard box. है ना?
That was so weird. Like it was very weak
है
from
ना?
Dalot, and then even Onana, he was confused if he needs to come up or he needs to stay or like close Zaha down,
है ना?
and then like अजीब सी पोजीशन में से मकड़ी मार
हाँ,
रहा like मतलब पता नहीं
मकड़ी
क्या
कहाँ यार, वो हमें मार रहा था.
था.
So, like, and the timing of it, I mean, now tell me if you see a pattern, okay? Hoyland scores in the 17th minute, Zaha scores in the 23rd minute. Hoyland scores in the 67th minute,
Yeah.
Artetoglu scores in the 71 minute. And then because it's they know इतना लेट हो गया अब गेम में to actually score the third, जो उनको पहले गोल कंसीड करने के बाद जो उनकी नर्वसनेस थी वो 5 गुना होके फिर आया,
Hmm.
और हमें ऐसा लगा सडनली कि एक फुटबॉल टीम है और बाकी 11 पता नहीं स्कूल के टीचर हैं, दुकान ओनर है क्या है, और उनको बस रैंडमली बोला भाई ये टीम है इसके अगेंस्ट आज खेलना है ना? तो मेरे हिसाब से तो ऐसा था. अब लेट्स गेट इनटू लाइक द ऑब्जर्वेशंस फ्रॉम लाइक हाफ वन एंड हाफ टू, है ना? आई
Hmm.
थिंक थोड़ा वो हो रहा है कि अब हम हार गए हैं एंड कॉन्ट्रास्टिंग परफॉर्मेंस थी बहुत ज्यादा, तो पीपल आर जजिंग द फर्स्ट हाफ आल्सो वेरी वेरी हार्शली, है ना? तो लेट्स
Hmm.
फर्स्ट स्टार्ट विद व्हाट हैपेंड, बिकॉज फ्लैश लाइक ऐसे सडन थिंग इवेंट्स कैन डेफिनेटली चेंज द गेम, ठीक है? और हर सारे सच इवेंट्स लाइक इंडिविजुअल एरर, कोचिंग एरर, वो सब हम देखते हैं, बट वी हैव टू एक्सेप्ट कि इट्स पॉसिबल कि हमने बहुत अच्छा खेला बट सडन इवेंट और उस सडन इवेंट का रिएक्शन हमें को मैच हरा दिया, विच इज मेरे को जो लगता है मोस्ट लाइकली हुआ आज. ठीक है, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद योर ऑब्जर्वेशंस इन द फर्स्ट हाफ.
So first half observation to basically, I think Bruno is ineffective on the right. I don't know why he keep first half में I didn't even realize कि भाई Bruno खेल भी रहा है.
Correct,
And
he wasn't giving the ball away but he was not creating much either.
yeah, because on the right it's I don't know, it's just weird. Only thing he can do is he can just put crosses. Right? There's no creativity in that. Like unless तुम De Bruyne हो और तुम बिल्कुल ही like अजीब
पिन
सा ही कुछ
पॉइंट
क्रॉस
एकदम.
दे रहे हो, हाँ पिन
हम्म.
पॉइंट, वो उससे नहीं होता. और फिर व्हाट हैपेंस इज ही गेट्स फ्रस्ट्रेटेड और फिर वो लाइक सिंगल वो रॉकेट मारना चालू कर देता है लाइक विदाउट एनी टच. हिज फर्स्ट टच इज लाइक अक्रॉस द पिच टू रैशफोर्ड और लाइक समवन. तो ब्रूनो को तो
हाँ,
आई डोंट लाइक आई वाजंट दैट कीन ऑन द दिस थ्योरी राइट दैट्स गोइंग ऑन कि भाई ब्रूनो इज द प्रॉब्लम इन द सिस्टम. I I agreed with the Rashford thing that Rashford is a big problem in the system, but Bruno was I was still a little bit like not sure. But आज उसको देख के I was like यार can't say that I completely disagree as well because he was literally useless यार. Like and also not just useless, he was just fucking up all the plays also. Like
हाँ,
पूरा like
एंड
press
उसका
करके
एंड उसका
ball.
बटरफ्लाई इफेक्ट बहुत होता है, राइट? काउंटर पे,
हाँ.
चांस क्रिएशन पे, फॉरवर्ड थ्री के कॉन्फिडेंस पे, बैक फोर के कॉन्फिडेंस पे, जब
Hmm.
तुम्हें व्हेन यू हैव पीपल, especially people like Icardi, Zaha, Tete, people whose only instruction is to run at the defense, right? तो
Yeah.
टाइम
Yeah.
ओवर टाइम अगर तुम वो अलाउ करोगे तो ओवर टाइम रादर, वो इवेंचुअली इट विल गिव। और मेरे को तो ये लगता है कि इवन दो ही स्टार्टेड, like of course he started on the right, he did drift centrally a lot, even in the first half, because he can't beat his fullback ever, right? So
No.
he can never do that. Even on the cross, if he is doesn't have enough time on the cross, his crosses are never accurate. Even when
Yeah.
he has time on the cross, his crossing is not accurate. I think what he can do very, very well is have a quick, like, transition pass, killer transition pass, like the kind of pass that Hoyland scored his second goal on. Like
Yeah.
that is Bruno's bread and butter all day. So
But then you
definitely,
need to be in the center of the pitch to do that, right?
yes, as you said, unless you are De Bruyne, who does it better from the half space rather than the center.
Yeah. Yeah, like he does it right between like right between the right back or right wing and CM. Like he's kind of like a RCM, right? Right center midfielder.
Precisely.
Most positions he can do that. But with Bruno and Rashford, yeah, like when you and also like when the game starts, our midfield three are like pressing like animals. They're winning the balls, and Hoyland is
Hmm.
pressing like animal winning the ball, and they have these overturns, and then in the end, like people from the wing are just like taking crazy shots. So
I
like
mean, did
that
you
also affects
don't?
your other
We'll get
midfield.
into the second half, but मेरे को एक चीज ये बोलनी है कि Rashford, I think, showed much better, like
Yeah.
on the ball stuff and even
Um.
off the ball. I didn't notice off the ball too much because we were dominating them a lot, right? On the ball,
Yes.
he looked clunky in the beginning, but as he saw, oh, this is working. I can trust Hoyland. I can trust
Yes.
Majebury with the ball. Usne started letting go of the ball more and more. ठीक है? And in moments, he looked sublime. Like you saw that why, like what Ten Hag ka core system has. It's like, of course, interchangeability, har jagah, work rate, gegen pressing, and all of that. But you saw कि he gets you one-on-one chance with a fullback, and you are supposed to quickly 1-2 either beat shot, beat pass. Like you have to do that affirmative action there. And we saw कि in that system with his head uh, honed in on the tactic and the timing of the team and the runs and stuff, he can be absolutely devastating, right? And we saw them link up for the first goal like that also, right? Like I don't think any, like on his worst day, he puts, like, he can put Rashford can put a pass like that, right? Maybe not consistently, but he has that. Like when he just plays it instinctually, he can do execute technique very well, and he did that, and we scored the first goal. Ab
Yeah.
mera problem with Rashford is he was the one who took the longest to react once we conceded the
Goal.
1-1 wala goal. Ab
Hmm.
I want to talk about the 1-1 because I think we were dominating really, really well. Then we got that goal, right? I was seeing a lot of good stuff from Mabry. Bruno,
Yeah.
you could see, usually you can see with Bruno, early signs he will show always whether how what kind of game he's about to have, which is
Hmm.
also shows a problem that you can clearly tell in the first 15-20 minutes what kind of game Bruno is going to have. And usually it only goes downhill if he's going to have a bad one, right? It gets worse and worse as the team gets in worse and worse
Yeah.
positions.
Yeah.
So typical, I think probably the most predictable event in sports of all time. We score and then within 5 minutes we concede, right?
Yep.
Uske
Yep.
baad, what were your opinions of the remainder of the first half?
I think uske baad we were still playing well. I think the press was good, and as you said, like compared to like previous games this season, Rashford was not making stupid decisions. He was doing cutbacks. He was playing the full the midfield runners and the fullbacks on the wing. It was good, but again, it just it just lacked some, like that the final third pass, right? The final third pass or the final assist, or it just lacked some kind of a cohesion. Like it just felt like every other game, like yeah, we're trying to do stuff, but like, and you can see like as the time is going on, the players are just getting more frustrated with each other,
Yep,
which is
which is usually the beginning of the end हमारे past में.
exactly. Like every week is the same cycle. Like they lose, and then it's like next week is ours, and it's like okay,
Hmm.
the media has attacked them, and every rival fans are like making a Mickey
Hmm.
out of them. So now they're gonna be hella as motivated, and they are
Hmm.
for the first 10 minutes. They're running like
Hmm.
crazy, like animals, and you're
Hmm.
like, fuck yeah, this is the United we want. We get excited. They score a goal,
Yes.
and they concede, and then it's back to the same mentality again. It's like, fuck, on the
But
other
I
end.
don't get why like these players have to believe that 1-1 after they have scored first means they have to get scared. Like you have the better squad. You are at home. Starboy is looking in the form of his life on in the first half. Rashford, like that was his best game, I think, this whole season, honestly. Right? We have been building up to that. They link up Hoyland and Rashford. Like why do you need to feel like, oh my God, 1-1 at home against Galatasaray means that we need to end up losing this match? तो वो
That's
इतना
push
predictable
that.
और काफी disgusting है, honestly. और
Yeah,
मेरे को
but
ये भी है, like Ten Hag, like he should be able to coach that out of them. It's a concentration thing, and if it's they can't do that concentration, then तो we know, bro, कि उन players का मतलब concentration problem रहा ही है like throughout. So can we even blame Ten Hag for that, you know?
but that's the thing. Now you can't blame, but then who do you blame? Who do you say ki whose responsibility is it? Who takes the accountability? I think
यार
you can,
अभी पता है. Hmm.
right? But like
Yeah,
you
the
can't
thing is, hmm,
blame him
to
ki
move.
like why is this happening? You can blame him that why isn't this improving? Like yeah, it's been like now 7 games this season, and you've had a full preseason with these guys, and why is this not improving? If you think they have weak mentality, then just change these players. Like why is Rashford still starting every game? Why is Bruno still starting every game? If you played Pelistri and Garnacho and other boys in the midfield against Crystal Palace, and it was like fluid, like that they were playing to the system exactly as you want, right? Then why did Rashford and Bruno play 90 minutes again? Like you can
Yeah,
say
because
they
I don't think
using
you
them,
can play a whole season. Like you can play a match here and there. You can cover an injury. You can get on somebody who can have a very good first half, especially with the youngsters I'm talking about. Can't like put
no,
though
you
like
don't
that
need
can't
to
be the
start
strategy
them.
for a season or even for like a quarter of a season. We will just play our youth. Like that has never worked, you know, historically for any like big team.
But yeah, you don't need to start them again for the second game. But you can still bring them on if you think like you started your usual Rashford, Bruno, and everyone. And you're losing 1-0. Like I think they both still played 90 minutes against Palace, didn't they? I
Yep.
think this today
I
was
mean,
the first
Rashford,
time
the
Rashford.
the second game, yeah, I think he took off Rashi 70th minute, maybe 71st, 77th minute, maybe something like that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the bottom line is, if these guys do have a mentality issue, you've had a whole preseason, you had the whole last season with them. You should have been able to, find like this should have been obvious by now that okay, these players do have the skill, but they have a mentality issue, and we need to fix
यार
it.
मेरे को तो पक्का लगता है a lot of like I think ये बहुत फेमस वो है कहावत इन स्पोर्ट्स की don't get used to losing. I think उनको इतना उनका जो डेटा है खुद का about losing and winning and the situations they have lost from वो ही corrupted है. So it's just encoded into the behavior. Right? अगर तू रोज घर से निकले और मैं तेरे बाहर घर के दरवाजे के बाहर खड़ा रहूं और तेरे को रोज घुटने पे डंडा मार के भाग जाऊं, तू दरवाजे से बाहर निकलेगा घुटने पे हाथ रखते हुए. राइट? तो मेरे को यही लगता है कि जब हम 1-0 जाते हैं हम तब भी अपने घुटने पे डंडा एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं क्योंकि इनकी प्रोग्रामिंग ही वो है. तू देखना.
बट वो काम किसका है? दैट्स द जॉब ऑफ स्पोर्ट्स साइकोलॉजिस्ट,
मतलब द थिंग इज अभी वो काम किसी का नहीं है, बिकॉज जब तक हमारे क्लब सेल नहीं होती सब लोग रेस्टलेस ही रहेंगे, नोबडी कैन बाय इनटू एनीथिंग ना। जैसे अगर मेरे को पता है कि मेरी कंपनी एक्वायर होने वाली है, लाइक आई डोंट नो कि मेरा रोल क्या होगा, मेरी पोजीशन क्या होगी, मेरा ओहदा क्या होगा नई सिचुएशन में, इसलिए मैं अपनी पूरी जान देने को अभी रेडी नहीं हूँ ना, राइट? तो वो
आई
तो
थिंक दैट्स
वो तो
इजी एक्सक्यूज आउट, लाइक यू आर स्टिल, ऐसा नहीं कि पर तेरा सैलरी रुक गया, यू स्टिल गेटिंग पेड द सेम अमाउंट, राइट? योर परफॉर्मेंस स्टिल अफेक्ट्स द होल टीम. I don't think वो again that's an excuse that probably they are using in their head कि यार हाँ अपना अभी सेल है, अभी आएगा कोई तो तब देखेंगे. But again that's again is not the right mentality, right?
आई मीन sorry, I just took a quick lunch break in the middle of our rant. But okay, so coming back to the summary of the first half, right? So I think we discussed some players here and like the mentality problem, which is I think going to be the takeaway from this match, right?
Yeah.
Ki regardless of the individual mistakes, it's just this is who we are now. Regardless of who we get as a manager, how many players we sign, because the assumption cannot be ki, oh, we'll sign new players, they'll be better, we'll be better, because that's
No,
not how that's
because
not how trickle
it
down,
happens opposite. We buy new players who are excited, who are like I'll die for this club, and then within 3 games they are
and they
also
end
like
up dying.
all petulant. They are all
And
petulant. Then like right
they
team
did
आ
not
गई,
read
साले
the
तूने
fine print. They realize that they'll actually have to die,
like ये तो
as they get
जो asterisk था, that was like you actually have to die,
they
like
have to die. Right,
emotional.
we'll kill you.
Yeah.
हाँ, so अब just to summarize another की a positive takeaway, ठीक है?
Hmm.
पॉजिटिव टेक अवे मेरे ये थे कि मेजबरी इट शोज कि भाई इट्स अ गेम ऑफ एनर्जी नाउअडेज, इट्स अ गेम ऑफ हाउ गुड आर दीज पीपल ऑन द बॉल. मेजबरी शोड एवरीथिंग, आई थिंक एनर्जी,
Yeah.
tackling, maybe not as much
Yeah.
physicality, but on the half turn, right, and with his back to goal, he showed I think a lot of maturity. So that
Yep.
was one.
Yep.
Second is Onana का short game on the ball is actually excellent. मेरे को लगता है दैट्स द
Yeah.
बेस्ट शॉट गेम, कितना वो अच्छा खेल पाता है. बट आई थिंक हर इक्वेशन के दो, मतलब इट्स टू साइड्स टू एन इक्वेशन, राइट? द सेंटर बैक एंड फुल बैक बीइंग प्लेड द बॉल एंड द विंगर बीइंग प्लेड द बॉल बाय आवर कीपर. आई थिंक वो कोऑर्डिनेशन पुअर है, बट शॉर्ट गेम अच्छा है उसका काफी, आई थिंक विद द
हाँ,
सेंटर
like
बैक.
Morata का one thing you can't question is his ability with his feet,
हाँ
right?
ठीक है. एंड आई वांट टू टच ऑन समथिंग इन द सेकंड हाफ व्हिच आई थिंक, सॉरी नॉट इन द सेकंड हाफ, इन द या इन द सेकंड हाफ, जब हमने ओनाना के मिस्टेक से गोल खाया, कि वेयर आई थिंक द एक्चुअल मिस्टेक वाज, ठीक है? press was some is something I've actually been really impressed by this season. I think हमारा press काफी अच्छा लगा है, especially from the front this season. That was a
Not this
positive.
season. I think since Mount and Meshbury have been back.
Yes, recent games.
Yeah, recent games. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
actually,
Not
हाँ.
before.
To start out, we were quite lethargic. If to be honest, you're right. Recent games, play from the back has been much better, regardless of who's been playing in the back, which
Yep.
shows that we have maybe not increased the ceiling, but we have definitely improved the floor. But I also think we have improved like our play from the general play from the back.
Hmm.
Um, everyone was passing, which basically means कि they are धीरे धीरे उनको tactical instruction collectively लेना आ रहा है कि भाई pass करो सब. And then of course the error
But
happens.
the biggest issue with this is again this should have been in the preseason. Like कि भाई pass करो, like play from the back, or like how
Hmm.
to overlap, underlap, or like कौन cover करेगा and all of that. That's what the preseason is for. You can't say कि यार हाँ 7 गेम हुए अब सीख रहे हैं धीरे.
Actually, that's definitely where you have to give somebody like Postecoglou का credit, है ना? कि
Hmm.
उसने he drilled their teams. I think every team came in well drilled, apart from
Yeah.
us and maybe some
चल.
outliers here and there. Chelsea, of course, but
ये
उनपे तो reason है यार.
उन पे क्या
उनका
रीजन है
हाँ
कि
उनके तो
उन्होंने
लाइक
बिलियन पाउंड स्पेंड करे हैं?
आई मीन उनका तो यही है रीजन कि हमारे इतने सारे नए लोग आए हैं कि हम एक दूसरे को नहीं पहचानते, लेट अलोन लाइक प्लेइंग टुगेदर. हाँ भाई, मैंने अपनी माडियो की पिकअप किया था इन द स्टार्ट ऑफ द सीजन. दैट्स हाउ रैंडम इट वाज गोना बी दिस सीजन, एज दे फिगर आउट हु इज वर्थ इट एंड हु इज नॉट वर्थ इट. है ना?
your main striker in fantasy was what? Nico Jackson, right?
निको जैक्सन, है ना
Over
यार, ये सब
Haaland.
बताना नहीं है, ठीक है? वो भी रिकॉर्डिंग पे, वो भी ये कैरिंगटन की चर्चा है, ये मेरे दिल की चर्चा नहीं। ठीक है। अच्छा, अब ऑफ कोर्स first goal happens right after we scored, right? I
Hmm.
want to discuss more on Hoyland's finish and all, but I think we are short on time, so let's get into the first goal. And as we predicted, including the commentators, then the psychology problem was coming.
Yep.
And I think 50-60% of the team was able to react well, right? But
Hmm.
some 3-4 players did not react well. And in a team sport, when that is the ratio, you basically become shit, right?
I think
So the
the
people,
suspects also who didn't react well.
sorry.
I think it was the usual suspects who didn't react well.
So I think our spotlights were obviously on Rashi, who took like the rest of the half to even become normal, right? Then of course Bruno. I mean, but Bruno was shit throughout, so I can't say he reacted worse.
Yeah.
But if he had any more hole to sink into, he would have sunk in like head first into
Yeah.
that hole.
Mhm.
And we just forgot again the ability to repeat any pattern in passing, है. But I was like,
Yeah.
okay, to close out the half, overall, not a bad reaction. Rashi also was able to turn it around, and I was like, okay, good stuff overall. And I'm like, Rasmus looks like he has a good ceiling. I can't wait for the second half, right? And this is when I wrote down about, Rashford. You cannot deny that Rashford really has individual quality, that because as he was playing himself back in the end of the first half, also, created some good chances and some really direct good play, right?
Mhm.
Mount, I think, went under the radar for his shit finishing. He had like 3 shots on goal, and I think he just could not get the ball off the ground, right? And
He
if
was
he would
good
have done
in passing and like
good
yeah,
everywhere else, I would say,
yeah,
even in pressing, like, hmm,
yeah. But yeah, as you said, like the finishing was lacking, and I think that again that's been a common point throughout the season because again
yeah,
they
and you pay for it, man. You cannot
yeah.
not finish and not pay for it. It's just the rule of the game. And another thing that stood out to me as we come to the end of first half, the summary of first half was like Maysbury's response to the first goal, to the goal, us conceding the conceded goal was really well. So like just showing that it's not about just experience and excellence. It really is about what goes on in your brain in that moment, and how much are you tactically disciplined. Like when your brain's individual's brain fail you, right? So that's why you have tactics, so that they can cover you when your individual brain would fail you. And I think they let their individual brains take over rather than the collective tactic. And that's why overall they started becoming shit, as we would have expected. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think apart from that, I would say ki, like our defense has also been like super fucked up. Basically, I think
Mm-hmm,
this
mm-hmm.
first 3 shots on target, they had 3 goals or something like that.
Yes, yes, because they're all high percentage shot because of what I think are individual errors. Oh, so before we move on to the second half, I do want to discuss the first goal and like the fault there. I definitely think it's a 70-30 split of blame between Dalo and Onana, because Onana is part of that communication, but Dalo is the man on the ball and the man.
Yeah, I think
So,
Dalo was weak on that, but it was Zaha. But again, that cannot be an excuse if you're playing.
I mean, if
Uh,
you're playing as a fullback for United, it's Zaha cannot be what goes on your tombstone.
yeah.
Right? So,
Yep.
yeah. Fair enough. Right now into the second half, man. I'll be honest. मैंने first half में लिए like भर भर के notes. Second half, I knew what was coming and it
Yep.
came. और मेरे से तो notes भी क्या ही लिए गए
Now, after the third minute, I was like, फिर से यार टेंशन वही.
हाँ, तो मेरे को यही डिप्रेसिंग लगा आज की गेम के बारे में, that it was so predictable and then they overachieved against our negative prediction, man. Like they
Oh.
were way worse than we thought that usually they would be. I was thinking we'll draw and stuff like that. Oh my God, man. Like we were like, no, how can she draw? Like they like आज हम हार के ही दिखाएंगे आज, as I said, as I was telling my friend, we are like a HAS platform, history as a service. हर कोई आता है हम पे हिस्ट्री बना के जाता है, right? इंग्लैंड के सबसे बड़े दुश्मन हम ही, यूनाइटेड ही निकली भाई। फर्स्ट गैलेटासराय विन ऑन इंग्लिश सॉइल।
हाँ।
So So I think, I mean, Bruno lacked athleticism, any class, any quality. But yes, we can say that wing पे हो तो Bruno गंदा लगता है. But that was right front and center for us. Rashi, I mean, to be honest, uh, uh, I was numb to the attack because I knew the mistakes are going to happen in the defense. है ना? Because you don't pay for mistakes that happen in the attack as long as you're up, right? So we get another goal, Haaland, we go 2-1 up, right? And
हम्म।
then comes essentially the flashpoint. अब मेरा जो ऑब्जर्वेशन था वो ओनाना की, जो सब बोल रहे क्लियर मिस्टेक है, इफ यू सी इट बैक, Lindelof screams at him to pass it to Casemiro, and I think that's where it all went to shit. Because you cannot scream at a keeper to pass and it turn out to be the wrong pass, because in that tight situation you are their eyes. It's a team effort to play out from the back. Patterns nahi hai, so you have to do even more communication, right, to make sure कि जहाँ patterns नहीं बनते हम बनाएं. And Lindelof points at him, screams to pass it to Casemiro. We lose the ball, and then I mean, Onana does what Onana does, not save it, right? But I think the mistake started with Lindelof, who started checking out after they conceded the first goal mentally, because maybe he feels lost. Maybe he's not just a heart's not just into it, but he's been shit this entire season. He's made mistake after mistake. And I think, again, he's lucky that people haven't noticed it yet, but it was his fault, according to me and Onana's. So I gave the blame 50-50 to them, because Onana has to know that it's Lindelof and where his quality starts and ends. And also do better on the saves. Like, it's like he
Yeah.
if the shot is more than 6 inches from his glove or his foot, he can't get to it. So
But
basically
that was
that's
the one we are saying he passed to Casemiro because apna Lindelof shouted. That was for the penalty, right?
Oh, that is for the penalty. Sorry.
हाँ।
But I think that's the why I would say that would be the changing point in the game, is because after then came the like shakiest ever Onana performance, right? And once your back four and your
हम्म।
keeper are shaky, especially when your keeper is shaky. I mean, you can even see this, right? Like we lose the ball, Casemiro goes off, and you'll see in one situation, it's 2-2. We are still doing well with the possession. And Lindelof actually attacks the attacker while they're counter attacking, forgetting that we don't have Casemiro for cover. And then he realizes it, and there are, of course, through on goal, and Onana gets chipped.
But तो like the third goal, I think it was all Amrabat because he was the one who played the poor pass straight to the opponent, and then he was the one who played the
Yes.
onside also. So that was the all
I mean,
Amrabat.
Amrabat, yeah, the thing is, if you actually, we didn't notice that Amrabat is a risk because we had the possession. But if you see his lines throughout the game, right? Ki,
Mhm.
you like holding line as a fullback is actually a hard thing. And a couple of times the width and line Amrabat was holding, especially on in defense, out of the ball. I think I knew it's coming from his side only. I mean, it didn't come from his side as such, but came from his mistake. He played them on, but even if early on he was always like either a little bit higher or either a bit lower, because. But I don't want to name him because I mean you
Uh,
can't be
uh,
playing a right-footed central like deep lying midfielder as a left back, hoping to Hmm.
I'll play goalkeeper, I'll play like Panwadi and all of that. तो भाई अच्छा भी तो ऐसा थोड़ी है कि
तो
like
उसने ये थोड़ी ना बोला कहाँ कहाँ आप अच्छा खेल सकते हो, उसने मुझे बोला था कहाँ आप खेल सकते हैं, इसलिए भाई तनख्वाह के लिए तो मैं कुछ भी करने को तैयार हूँ.
but
अच्छा सुन, we have 3 minutes left. Let's
hmm,
quickly do the United stand, the OG Gold Bridge. उसकी player ratings मैं share करता हूँ. Let's go through that real quick.
hmm, हाँ उसका मैंने देखा नहीं आज.
ठीक है. आई थिंक इट्स कम्युनिटी का अच्छा यहाँ पर रहता है ओवरऑल, एंड हमको भी
Hmm.
देखने को लाइक वी आल्सो गेट टू स्कोर, राइट? सो आई एम गोना से ओनाना a 3. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean he didn't really save the penalty. The penalty was like just a bad penalty.
Yeah, and it
When
had
it,
gone past him also, to be honest.
to concede 3 goals from 4 shots on target and then yeah concede a penalty as well. I think yeah 3.
Actually, I'm gonna put it 2
Yeah,
because we really needed to win this game. and
Yeah.
it was really came down to him a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Nice. Embarrassing. डिएगो डालो। यार ये मेरे को कंफ्यूज करता है यार आदमी। ये दिखता इंटेंस है बट ऐसे डोमिनेट होके आता है घर कभी कभी गीले डॉगी की तरह। लाइक क्या है यार?
Actually, like
व्हाट
full
स्कोर डू यू
on
हैव फॉर डाल?
जो गांड फाड़ देंगे, और फिर मैच में मतलब भाई तेरी ही मिस्टेक थी मैक्सिमम।
हाँ भाई
टेंशन ना
क्या
तूने
लाइक
क्रॉस दिया, ना तूने।
फ्रेंडली फायर।
बट आई थिंक 4 बिकॉज उसका मिस्टेक था फर्स्ट गोल पे, बट दैट्स इट राइट।
बट यार मेरे को ये भी है, इट कैन नॉट बी कि एक गोल का मिस्टेक एक गोल, इट्स लाइक उस टाइम पे कंसंट्रेट ना करके ऐसा गोल खाना 1-1 करने के लिए, वो भी आफ्टर यू नो दैट इट्स सो हार्ड फॉर अस टू गो अप। दैट्स माय प्रॉब्लम विद इट एसेंशियली। तो आई एम गोना गिव अ 3। डज दैट साउंड ओके?
Yeah, 3.5, yeah.
व्हाट अबाउट Varan? We can make this quick. 5?
Quran was good, yeah. 5.
Let's give him a 6 because I do want to, like, just for team bad performance, I don't think we should, you know.
Yeah.
Lindelof, I'm gonna say a 3 or 4.
Yeah, Lindelof, that mistake, I didn't notice it, but yeah, if you're saying, then he didn't do anything good also, so probably.
Yeah. Amrabat, I mean, man, depends on
Out,
how you look at it. Tell me, you tell me.
he was out of position, so it's like, again, it's the same argument. He was out of position, so you can't blame him. But then again, if you're playing for United or for any top team, then it cannot be an excuse. I mean, the
Yep.
the the losing goal was all him. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, we are also, kind of going for the win at that point, and Amrabat was pushing up a lot, but yeah, doesn't justify the mistake. Okay, real quick, Casemiro.
Hard one. He was good until he got sent off due to someone else's mistake.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I would say a 5 actually, because the thing is, yeah, he ends up doing something like this every time in a crucial match sometimes, so I have to dock him for that. Wait, let me update my Zoom account. Let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, let's see. I hope I'm able to do this before this stream ends. Action. Continue payment. भाई पे ले लो ना यार। ओके।
या फिर खत्म करते हैं यार, अगले इसमें करेंगे बहुत
खत्म तो
मैच।
हो ही गए यार। मेरे को बस पार्ट